All right, folks, it's about 24 hours until the game starts from when this video will be posted. However, it is being recorded on the Tuesday night, so we don't have the full advantage of the teams, but this is the final thoughts for the Richmond-Collingwood clash at the MCG round 20. It's going to be a monster game. The Pies coming off 2 losses, the Tigers coming off 2 wins, quite the opposite of where I think both teams would be in their recent form if you had have asked us that question a few weeks ago. But we do have a special guest tonight. We've got Ben on board and Lachlan. I'll let you do the introduction and you can take it away and we'll get stuck into the final thoughts in the game.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Michaels. As some viewers know, I work in the disability sector, working with young people and help get them job ready. Ben is a participant of one of my managers who's really interested in journalism, specifically sports journalism, and is currently studying at Deakin doing a sports journalist degree. And he's been on the show once before, and he reached out a couple of weeks ago asking if he can jump back on just to get some more exposure, some more media time, and practice everything. He runs his own football channel on YouTube, as you can see in his name, Forward Footy there. And yeah, I'm happy to have Ben on. Ben, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing much. I think you summarised it perfectly with the overall introduction. And yeah, glad to be on. It was fun last time. I'm happy to do it again. This time in a Lions thing instead of in general recap.
Yeah, the one big change so far is the jumper you're wearing tonight. That wasn't the case last time.
Yeah, I was informed of this.
Yeah, it's been through some family stuff, been through family changes, but I decided to go with it. Feel way more comfortable in it.
With the Pies?
Yeah,
nice.
Feeling a lot more comfortable.
Nice.
Fair enough. No, got to feel comfortable with who you support, so no, that's completely fair enough. And we'll also chuck the link to Ben's YouTube channel in the description as well, so make sure you get around Ben showing some love. But big game with the Pies coming up. What have you made of the Pies' recent form? We obviously mentioned earlier that they've lost the last 2 games, and I have noted there's been some criticism from supporters in relation to resting some players, and maybe that hasn't landed so well because it's backfired. Like, it looks great when it works, but then it raises some questions when it doesn't. How have you seen their recent form line?
Look, I think it's a mixture of 2 things. I think obviously resting and managing players is a big thing. Like Craig McRae said a few weeks ago, you don't want to flirt with form. And I scarily think they did exactly that with some of their resting of players. I get they need to do it because it's an older list compared to your competition, but it's a move that seriously has backfired on them in terms of them missing important players for these games. And whilst they may be ready for the finals, I think previously we were looking at, say, Brisbane and Adelaide in the next coming weeks as we could manage players then. You can't now because you'll miss top 2 if you lose those games now.
That's what's become interesting, isn't it? Because those 2 losses have actually closed the gap and it's now an open race again. And I think top spot probably doesn't matter so much, but top 2 definitely does. With the amount of interstate teams in the top 8 this year, I think getting a home final is probably going to be a huge benefit for any club that can get it this year.
Definitely. The only other team in representing Victoria is Geelong, and you'd like to get them at the MCG, even with the experience and the fact they beat us in round 8, as compared to say Brisbane at the Gabba or Adelaide Oval, which are looking like the 2 other possibilities if you slip low enough.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me with Collingwood at the moment is I think they would have been in a much more comfortable place if Adelaide and Brisbane haven't hit this purple patch. I think those 2 are the main ones chasing them, and they're probably the 2 most informed teams in the competition right now, which is scary for the Pies because they can't afford to lose, a couple more games in the run home when other teams are building nicely. This is what Brisbane did last year in the run to finals. They went on a massive streak and ended up just winning everything. So, yeah, the Pies would be a little bit shaky at the moment with their current form.
Does that make this week's game a danger game? I know if you look at the ladder and what the form should represent between Richmond and Collingwood, it should be pretty one-sided. But do the 2 losses in a row start to put little elements of doubt in your mind? Like, I'm just trying to imagine a world in which we kick the first 2 or 3 goals. Long shot, I know. But stranger things have happened. It's going to be fascinating. And I am scared with the players that the Pies are bringing back that they could just switch on and hit the go button and it could be all over.
Look, I think there are 2 potential timelines of what happens on Sunday. Either what you said is right, like the Pies bring back a few players and just hit the go button and go. But I can also see that you guys score the first 3 goals of the game, and that will put the doubt in their mind after the last 2 losses. And that will make many Pies fans worried in the MCG stands if that ends up happening. Because their defense has been the surest thing. And another thing that could happen, if they kick a lot of behinds early, that will be a bit worrying.
Yeah.
With their scoring shots.
Yeah. There's also scheduled rain for the weekend as well, which takes away Collingwood's sort of aerial prowess. They rely heavily on marks and especially intercepts in the back line. If that's the case with Richmond's forward pressure, that is one area that Collingwood have shown weakness. I mean, we saw on the weekend Fremantle's manic pressure, and that was in a dry game where the Pies had, chances to use their foot skills. If it's raining and wet, I think that gives us an even bigger chance to knock Collingwood off.
It actually, if it does rain, I'm not sure how much rain's scheduled for Sunday, but if it does rain substantially throughout the game in particular, because it kind of dries up quickly if it's beforehand, but if it's during the game, the Pies are actually number 2 in the AFL for inside 50 marks, averaging 14.2 a game. We're 18th, no surprise, with 9.1. My check, Jamie Elliott plays taller. Membry's going to be down there as well. McStay will roll through there too. They've got good forward power marking options. So if it is raining, that kind of takes away one of their avenues to score. And hopefully, our defenders are going okay, but their forwards, I think, are a bit of a handful. What other? I suppose your small forwards, though, Ben, come into play if the ball's on the deck. If Bobby Hill's in, that's a huge inclusion.
100%. I think heading into the run home, not just this game, but the run home, we're missing Hill majorly at the moment. He's such a spark, with his presence up forward, and I think another in that I think last week definitely showed Tim Membry's got to come back in, and if they can get Howe back, I don't know they will because of injury, but Howe needs to come back as soon as possible because Moore did struggle with the multiple defenders, and obviously Pat Voss went off with 6 goals.
I think Frampton coming back would help too. Lachlan, interestingly, further on the mark situation, the Pies are AFL number 1 with marks on the lead. So I know we talked about Monday night who we would send to Membry and or Myercheck, and I still reckon that Young and Miller will do an okay job respectively, even if it was dry, on the premise that we locked down the midfield. And that's the thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter how good your 2 defenders are. If we let Dacos and Sidebottom and the other Dacos and whoever else get easy disposal, they're going to have easy options. So maybe we are going to have to do some rain dances to give us a hand.
That's the thing. Yeah, take our vitamins, say our prayers for rain. We've been torn apart quite often with the easy ball out of the middle and get the opposition midfielders hitting up, leading forwards, and the Pies are the best in the business at it. They're really, really good at transition through the middle as well. So it's purely down to pressure and work rate. This is where Morris is going to be really important. Mansell's going to be really important, especially off halfback where they get a lot of drive. Nick Dacos will go through halfback at some stage. Josh Dacos will go through halfback. And then, of course, you've got Steele Sidebottom and players like that who are pretty solid. Pat Lipinski going forward is the one that they rely on heavily for their ball inside 50. He's good number 1 rated kick inside 50 for hitting a target. So, yeah, they're going to want to get the ball into his hands as much as possible. So it's really important that our players are on defensively, because small lapses in the quality of the team at the moment. I shouldn't say quality because we have some talent, but just in terms of experience and exposure at the level, the Pies will do some damage if we're not switched on defensively.
Yeah, the Eagles are probably a bit more forgiving on that if we lapse a little bit, whereas the Pies will make it hurt. Ben, Nick Dacos, interestingly, started playing a little bit of halfback against Fremantle. I guess McRae maybe just seeing what other things look like in the lead up to finals. Where do you think he plays his best football, in the midfield or halfback? And which one's your preference for him?
I'd prefer in the middle, personally. Like, when it comes to, like, what happens in the finals and, like, how we play our best, I think it's in the midfield. Like, just the run off he can give. And, like, it may not be he gets first ball. He might not get first possession, but he gets the ball running in and can set up goals perfectly or even kick some of his own. That is where he's the most damaging, and that's where he gets the most disposals.
Do you think the use off halfback is a good tool to use if he's getting tagged? Like, does that make it a bit more difficult to tag him if he's running off halfback instead?
Probably. That's probably why McRae tried to do it in this Fremantle game, to try and mitigate like the force of a tag. But like, ultimately what I'm saying is that, like, it's very hard to, like, stop him from getting 30 disposals each week anyway. He's just a ball magnet anyway.
100%.
But, like, any way that Craig McRae can try to basically not have him be tagged and be able to have him have the most impact possible is good.
Yeah, I think with Dacos too, like, he gets a lot of numbers through work rate. So if you're going to tag him, you need a really strong engine and runner yourself. But I also think he went to halfback because of Fremantle's half forward pressure. Collingwood were really struggling to get it out of their defense cleanly enough for a fair portion of that game. So I think they rotated Dacos there for his ball use and just ability to sort of break the lines a little bit, get past the Freo press.
We've had a couple of days to think about it, Lachlan. Jack Ross, now I don't at all think he's got the tank to do this for 4 quarters, but does he go to Dacos from the get-go, or are we going to see a similar instance like we have the last 2 weeks where we just go head-to-head for the first half and then reassess after half-time?
I think we'll let it play out for the first quarter, and then maybe...
It feels too long.
Yeah. I think we've seen what players can do in a quarter damage-wise against us, but I don't think you go extremely negative from the outset. I think you sort of see where Dacos is playing or what the game's looking like. If it's a scrappy game, Dacos isn't going to be all that effective in the first place.
That's true. So, if it's pouring rain, a good call might not be needed.
Yeah, so taking another midfielder out and having him defensively focused, although Ross has been able to find his own ball, I just think you'd make that call after the first 30 minutes of the game, see what's playing out, see what's actually needed.
He's a bit of a different tagger, though, isn't he, Ross? Like, I think if watching other Collingwood games, the tags that have been the most successful have been those who are like really aggressive and niggly and all that kind of stuff. Ross isn't like that. He's just more, he'll stand next to him and try and win his own footy. He's not fully 100% focused. So I think that plays in the Dacos' hands, to be honest, if it does eventuate. But yeah, maybe the rain does save us. If it does rain, though, Ben, does it change your thoughts on who the ins and outs might be for the Pies? I mean, we said Billy Frampton before, but I do think he feels like it's vital for the support for Darcy Moore. You'd still bring him in?
Oh, 100%. I was about to say, if it's a rain game and like the way the forecast is projected, it's 100% looking like it will be a wet game, a mud bowl, like, as you can say. If that is the case, then Billy Frampton has to come in for support of Darcy Moore and just to give that contested wet weather defense, because goals are going to be critical. There is a chance this is a low scoring slugfest of a game, so goals could be absolutely critical, and not just goal scorers, but also defenders to stop said goals.
And I suppose when it comes to wet weather football like that, goal assists become a lot more crucial as well. And the Pies are AFL 4th and we're last, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence. And the other one, Lachlan, that as a Richmond supporter, we only know too well is going to hurt us. The Pies are ranked number 2 for scoring off turnovers, and we're 17th. We do our better work from kick out somehow, even though we kick to the pocket all the time. How we have to limit our game to not turn it over as much as the Pies want us to. Like I watched a bit of the Freo game, and both teams' pressure was unbelievable. Like I'm thinking, shit, if we were playing either of these two teams, we would have been crumbled in a heartbeat. Again, maybe the rain stages, maybe it evens it up a little bit if it's raining during the game.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford to go clean ball. Again, it's just dirty. Hack it forward, like back to the old sort of Richmond of, 2017 to 2020 was just get the ball forward. Doesn't matter how you do it, tap on or kick off the ground, soccer, put it into space. Obviously, we've got Morris, we've got Mansell. We're likely to have either Jasper Alga or Steely Green come in for Seth Campbell, who's going to be a big out for us. But that's the thing. Freo did it against Collingwood. They didn't allow the balls up in the air. That they were hitting targets, or they were putting it out in space for players to run onto, which negated Darcy Moore, it negated Braden Maynard, which certainly goes a long way. So if it's wet, it's literally just going to be a get the ball forward at all costs. It's going to be a possession based and territory based game. So that's the biggest thing for us.
It might look worse than the Essendon game. Who would have thought?
Oh my
yeah, nothing will look worse than that.
This is like the Essendon game. Just forget all dreams of us winning the premiership. Just forget all hopes of us winning the premiership. We're not beating Brisbane or Adelaide if this ends up like the Essendon game.
Yeah, that was pretty ugly.
At least if it is ugly, you'd be able to blame the weather, the conditions.
That's right.
That Essendon game other than Scotty's coaching.
That's true. Are there any key matchups, Ben, that you're looking forward to seeing between the two sides?
Look, it will be. I think the biggest one, in my opinion, I'm excited for is youth v experience, and like it's been a factor we've been talking about throughout the preview. But like it'll be very interesting to see how does the Tigers youth go up against the Pies experience. How do some of their younger players, like Morris Rioli, was absolutely incredible against the Eagles. I'm excited to see how he goes in this game. Guys like Jack Ross, as you said. And like Seth Campbell, like your younger players, I'm very excited to see like on the MCG stage against a team that's still ranked 1 in the competition, how they're going to go.
They're definitely going to learn a lot. Yeah, it's a shame that bloody Seth misses this one. But Morris, Sonzi, interesting to see how Jonty Fall goes again. Grock, whether he can carry on his form from last week. Your man, maybe he's got some confidence from the week gone. Is it just a big learning for us? I mean, I don't know whether we can expect to walk away with 4 points this week, unfortunately, but I think the experience and what they might learn will be worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. And you can see week by week, obviously, the Geelong game was a bit of an aberration just in terms of effort and not so much effort, but just the complete breakdown of any structure that we had, especially defensively. But you can see week by week the little changes and the little improvements in sort of structure and confidence. And the 2 wins will have been massive for the players. I mean, you look at it, if you had said after 18 rounds that 18 rounds because of the bye, that we'd have 5 wins and probably could have had 2 more if it wasn't for wayward kicking, you would have taken that at the start of the year. I mean, yeah. We're already at the point now where you have to give this season a pass mark because we've ticked off back-to-back wins, which is massive. We've cracked the ton. We've played all but 1 draftee from last year, plus we've had the debutants in Gray and Fawcett who were drafted last year.
Yep.
So there's all these positives now. So there's no reason for us to be going into this game, worried or anything. It's not so much a free hit, but it's just literally there's nothing but positives to come out of this game. Like it's a learning opportunity for a lot of players. As you mentioned, Jonty Fall coming up against one of the best defenses in the league. He's really going to have to get on his bike and his work rate. Morris, again, can he back up the form of the last month? Sonzi had a really good game. The question marks are on him, whether he can be consistent. A big test for Jack Ross if he does go defensively and tags a player, whether it be any of the Dacos boys or Sidebottom, who bookmark for 3 votes almost exclusively against Richmond.
Every time.
So
Tigers
yeah. Yeah. So there's going to be more positives out of this game, more learning opportunities than there are any negatives.
Unless we lose by 100, then it's been a shit one.
Yeah.
I think. Yes. But no, it'll be a fascinating game. Hopefully both teams have a red-hot crack. Each wanted to be a good spectacle, I guess, but the rain may dictate otherwise. Well, with that all being said and done, gents, what are the final predictions for this lineup on Sunday? Lachlan, you can go first.
The lineup for Richmond, the only change I see is I'm going to go Steely Green in for Seth Campbell for Richmond.
And a result prediction as well?
Yeah, result. It sort of depends on weather. If it's raining, I think Pies by 26. If it's wet, probably 8 goals, probably 40 to 47, 48 points. Just before we move on, though, I'm not sure if we touched on it during the podcast or not, but it is the Alana and Madeline Foundation game on Sunday. So for those of you who are going along, please, if you have the capacity to do so, please donate. It's a fantastic cause. And with the club's long-standing partnership, it's a great initiative. And I encourage you, even if you can't donate, to get along to support a fantastic cause.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I'd most definitely get around it. Ben, what are your final changes for this game and final prediction of the result, including margin?
My final changes is that I think like some of the younger guys will go out. Like I think Dean, Sullivan, Ed Allen, I think they come out for this game. And I think like guys like Frampton, Membry will definitely come back in, and potentially Bobby Hill. There's been talk about Jordan DeGoey, but I think he plays VFL before coming in for Brisbane. I think will be what happens in terms of DeGoey's output. As for the final score, it really depends on what attitude. It's weird. Like I think the Tigers, like no matter what, are going to come in with this like gutsy, like just we've got nothing to lose, like winner take all attitude. It depends on what attitude the Pies come with in terms of what this margin will be. Because like if they like take no prisoner, like we see like Geelong and LA do with like their bottom 9 teams, like it will be like a 70-point margin. But like if they like kind of take it easy, like what they did with West Coast and St Kilda, I reckon, then probably just a hard fought 15-point win in the rain is my prediction.
Yeah, I think similar to you, Lachlan, if it's a drier day somehow, then I reckon they might get a hold of us by 50 or 60, which feels about right, really, with where both teams are at. So I wouldn't actually be upset by that, assuming that we still had a crack. But if it is wet and raining consistently during the game, I really do think it could be a tight affair. Maybe it is a 15 to 20-point game, but it definitely opens the door up for an upset if it is raining during the contest. Although we haven't really played in much heavy rain, have we? Like during the year with this particular side, like all the older guys will have finished up, but some of these younger boys may not have been exposed to a bit of that.
Yeah, from memory, I think we've only played in one game where it definitely rained, and that was the Dreamtime game, sort of in that middle patch of the game. So
that's right. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting because again, the young blokes, they haven't really played much wet weather football at AFL level. So if it does rain, it's going to be interesting for them.
Just to see how they adapt, who can adapt the quickest. So might love to see how we go there. But Ben, Lachlan, thank you so much for jumping on tonight. I appreciate getting your final thoughts on the game this week, and hopefully both teams get through unscathed and we see a pretty good contest.
Thanks for having us.
No worries at all. And until next week, go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Or go Pies for Ben.